going to make a decorative pocket. I use this pocket on my Megan dress. We've got a trim, we've got a ruffle, and we've got the petals that go around our little sunflower. And of course, when I saw this, I immediately thought, wouldn't it be great if this went round a whole round? Now, when I did this sample dress last night, so you could actually see what it looks like, I totally forgot about that. But I'm going to talk you through how you would just do that all the way around, because of course you don't cut anything away. So let's get started on showing you how to do a side pocket, which is very decorative, the shape of a sunflower. We will first have to attach our frill to the outside of our little facing here. So to do the frill, you need to just fold this over, and then we're going to go on the sewing machine and we're just going to pleat it all the way along. So I'm just going to pleat this under and move along it like this. You can pleat those pleats before, and actually I haven't really measured that. I think having just quite a long length, so it's always right and you don't run out, is fine. And I'm just pushing it under there with my fingers. Right. Now I'm going to attach what I've pleated to here, like that. Okay, and I'll just go around it. It's just the right amount actually. And one thing you have to be watching out for is when you put this on, make sure that it's a tiny bit longer so that it will not have a gap here after you put it on, because that happened to me and I had to really pull this over. You can see that pleat was meant to be there, but I had to pull it over. And my line here this time is like this. I'll line it up with the edge. You don't need to do a centimeter really, so that line or foot width will do for this. So I'm going to go all the way around, just moving my fabric into position as I go. There we are. Now I've got that in. All I have to do here is to iron it, so my seam allowance is actually facing the other way. And you can see here at the tip now that you do need this. I only just gave this enough. Now I'm gonna put just a pin here just to hold it in place for a minute. So now my petals, I need to make next. Cut out 8 of each, and then we're going to put the right sides together, and we're going to sew along the edge. And again, you don't need a centimeter seam allowance here. And also I'm going to go down with my stitch length a bit so that it can fray. And maybe one more stitch, and down the other side. Now we're going to cut this back. Usual story, let's leave like 2-3 millimeters standing, not too much. You've actually got a number of options with this. You can put these on straight onto the item you're making and top stitch them, or you could just top stitch them first like I've done here. And I'm going to give this a quick press, and we're going to also put a little pleat in here. And now I can take this and I can put these behind my little flower so that they peep out evenly. And of course we're going to stitch here so that we catch them. You need to make sure that that's the case. Work my way around. Now if you wanted to stitch these on first, what you would do is a little bit different. Open this up and don't go too close here to the side. We're going to leave off the side a little bit so that the seam allowance can go there. Put a pin here and on the other side, and we're just going to stitch that down. Okay, so whichever way you prefer. So I could now go on, put the next one, and then stitch these on first. So in that case, I make my stitch length a bit bigger. You could triple stitch this, but I'm just going to stitch carefully around the edge, lining up with that little red line. and I have sewn all the way around here now. Right, so that one works this way. Alternatively, because I've already done these, you can do it this way as well. So once this is done now, I can stitch down here. It's a bit of top stitching again, and that would hold in my petals, lining up with that little line there. Oh, look, I lost one. One fell out. Let's tuck it back in. Can't fall out. So you can see that's stitched on, so it can't move. These will move, so I hand stitch them on to my piece. So that's up to you how you want to do that. But at this point, now I can cut this, and you can see you needed that slant there. So if you cut it off too much, you'd end up with something that you'd have to pull over. And take our facing, and we're going to sew that on, because this will make the opening really neat and clean. And I'm going to sew 1 centimeter seam allowance now all the way around. Line up with your presser foot. That's almost 1 centimeter. It's an opening, so it's not vital that you do exactly the centimeter. Now I'm going to cut back my seam allowance, as you do. Again, don't leave much standing, and because this turns to the inside, I'm also going to snip it just a little bit, so that I can now turn this to the inside like that. Right, but to make sure that this doesn't go anywhere, it's a really good way to just top stitch along the top edge. That's called understitching, and you're holding your seam allowance in the direction of your lining, and that way when you turn it, this won't roll out. With the understitching, you want to be quite close to the edge here. And then carefully move it. If I turn this in and I press it, it will automatically lie, so you can actually see a little bit of the red. And there we are. You get a really perfect round opening, which will not roll back. You could leave it like this, but I want to top stitch it as well. I think that would be quite pretty. I'm using all this yellow, and let's go. Line up to the same point on your presser foot that you feel comfortable with, and guide it all the way around. That way nothing can roll, and it's very, very pretty. My last and final step is to just simply slide the pocket underneath it. We're going to turn this over in a minute so you can see. So that goes over, and that has then your pocket inserted. But I'm going to do this, of course, from this side because I can see what I'm doing. I've got my under pocket there. Okay, we're going to stitch this down. Make sure you don't stitch this, just the pocket. And that's my pocket in. I've also overlocked this. This is quite an important one. And I've got it on the one side. Now, like I just said, mine here doesn't go towards the back. If you wanted to have yours towards the back as well, you would actually need a lining here. We need this time. So when we do it on this side, we start in exactly the same way as on that side. We are going to sew this on all the way around. My next step is to take my lining. I'm going to pull this back into position now and just make sure that I do, there we go. And then that'll be so much easier after. So Now I can sew in here this time. And now I cut this bit back, same way I did on the other side, and then we're going to snip it. There we are. And because none of this will ever roll out, because we're actually doing a fake one, we are going to just iron this. And then I'm going to turn it and press it again. This time I would suggest you press it from this side here, so that you can get it the same. So you've got that little bit of red peeping out. Now when I stitch this down, we don't want this to show, so I'm going to actually trim this. Whoops, because it's all fake. Put mine opposite each other. And oh, look at that, that's good, that worked. I was a bit worried, but no, it's absolutely fine. I'm going to put this fake pocket on this side. It just looked like a big round once it's sewn together. I think that would be so, so cute. Right, I'm going to now stitch on this side, same way we did before, but we're catching it all this time. Basically, we're almost done. The last thing to do now is to pop these on top of each other. But I think a centimeter will be best because you don't want too much of this away, right? So let's go. 1 centimeter seam allowance on here. And whoa, like a machine gun, right? And now, just imagine you had those petals in there as well, obviously. Or it gives you a good idea what it would be like without petals. I think that's really cool as well. I like it. And I'm ironing this seam towards the back. Yeah, so just towards the back. And that's it. First part of how to do a beautiful little side pocket, but with the additional part going towards the back. Now, I think that would be great, and I can't wait to see some of yours actually doing that, because that would be awesome. I hope you enjoyed creating these pockets or watching how they're done, and get really inspired to do your own.